everything is pretty much on the nose. We've got quarter notes happening, got some half notes, a few little eighth notes here and there. Not a complicated rhythm, but there are two little things I want to point out that are going to require your attention. The first thing is going to be at the end of the first line. Look at that fourth measure. We've got a dotted quarter note that leads into an eighth note and then to a half note. When you see that dot on there, it adds half of the value of that note to itself. It extends it by half. So inside of a quarter note, you know, if you slice a quarter note in half, you have two eighth notes. So with that quarter note being dotted, that means that we're going to be adding an eighth note to the two eighth notes that already exist inside of that dotted, that quarter note, which means we're hanging out with it for a total of 3 eighth notes. Then you've got the eighth note by itself, and then you got a half note, and the half note is 2 beats, which means there are 4 eighth notes inside of that half note. So the math adds up. We've got 8 eighth notes hanging out together there. So I use pulsing when I'm trying to figure out rhythms, and the pulsing is where you take the lowest unit of rhythmic measure and you use that to subdivide the beat, and you clap for each of the subdivisions inside of each of the notes. So for a dotted quarter note, there'll be 3 claps. 1, 2, 3. For the eighth note, 1 clap by itself. And for the half note, 4 claps. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you move to each new note event, you'll clap louder so that you can detect when we've switched to a different note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum, 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 bum. Then you hum whatever that melody is or chord movement that you're doing, and that gives you an idea of how it's going to proceed. So from first, second, third, and fourth measures, dum, bum, bum, bum. I'll do the subdivision right. 1, 2 claps for each quarter note. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. And that gives you your rhythm. That comes in handy when you're working with a lot of Celtic music. There's a lot of other things happening, and sometimes those rhythms are very foreign looking to us, and so you can use that. Whatever the smallest unit of rhythmic measure is in the measure, and in this case it's the eighth note. If there was a 16th note in that measure for whatever reason, we would then need to use a 16th note to subdivide through everything. So it's a great trick to use if you're not sure, just by looking at it, how that flow is supposed to go. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Now take a look at the end of the third line. Into the third line, we have got a push rhythm. A push rhythm is a rhythm that either comes in early or it comes in late. Usually it comes in early. In this case, you can see that that push rhythm, it's located in an unfortunate location. It's not right next to the measure that we're going to. The next measure is down, but you can see that there is a line coming out of that last note in the last measure of the third line. And then look at the first measure of the last line. You can see that line continues to the first note, the downbeat. Notice in the tablature below that there is no number for that note, because we're not going to hit that note. We're not going to attack that note. It is sustaining from the note before, which means we've taken the downbeat and we've moved it to the fourth beat of the previous measure. It's going to come in a little early. That is called a push rhythm. So make sure that when you get to that point, that you play the 2 on the melody string and you hold it for 2 beats. You hold it straight through the downbeat, and then you begin playing again on beat number 2 of measure number 13. Does that make sense? Anybody who's ever listened to Ode to Joy, it depends on the version. Some people don't put it in there for some reason. But it's da 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 bum ba bum ba da 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 bum 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 ba bum 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 ba da dum bum bum ba da dum bum 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 ba dum bum bum bum. It comes in early, and it's just a surprise after doing it on the beat every time. All of a sudden it comes in early. It's a really neat little flourish. And some people leave it out for some reason when they tab it out or when they think about it. But that's what's happening there. The thing that makes that complicated is that not all the parts do it together. So some of you will be pushing, and some of you will actually be just playing it right on the beat. That is actually the chords and rhythm section blows right through it and just plays it on the beat. Hello, Aunt. What took you so long to come back and visit me? I've been doing this here for like 3 or 4 years. I've never, ever had this happen. It's really amusing. Okay, so let's go ahead and play the melody part. I think that explains all of the trickery that might be there. Everything else is pretty mellow. So we're playing no drone. No drone. This is a no drone zone. Everything on the melody string except for that 1-0 on the middle string in measure number 12. We'll take it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. No drone. No drone, only on the melody string. Only on the melody string, like this. No other string should be hit. No other strings, just the melody. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two. Let's go again. One, two. All right, good. That's easy, right? Very easy. It doesn't get any more difficult from here on out. Okay, I lied, it does. All right, take a look at your harmony part now. Let's get the harmony part out in front of you. We'll play this together, and then we're going to go ahead and put the melody and harmony together, which means that we're going to have 4 players for each of the parts. All right, so this moves pretty much exactly as the melody part. In fact, the first couple of lines, but there's something different. I want you to look at the end of the first line. So we have our dotted corner note, an eighth note, half note. That's the same. Now look at the end of the second line, and you'll see what's different there. In the harmony part, we're not going to play a dotted quarter note, eighth note, and half note. We're going to play 2 quarter notes and a half note. That's one of the deviations. And that is purposeful. That is exactly what was intended by Beethoven. Then we get into this stretch. This is my favorite, because with 2 dulcimers, it still sounds so very deeply classical. But you'll notice that we're really hitting that quarter note. We're staying on that. And it's a sense of tension. We're hitting that 7 for a long time. Boom, dum, bum, 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 bum. We're providing some counterpoint. We're bouncing up against those 8 notes that are in the melody part. But there's also something weird we got to do there. We're going to do a step upwards in measure number 9, 10, 11. So we are going to need to bend the middle string at the 7th fret. We want to bend it to get that half note. So here's how you bend. Index finger is probably the best way to do this, because you can reach in and grab it. You're going to bend it towards you, and you're going to bend this string so far that you actually feel the melody string against the back of your finger.
I got it.
For just practice, and you know, if this were the blues, I'd be like, don't worry about the pitch exactly. It can be roundabout. For classical, kind of want to make this as dead on the money as possible. And because we're bending it, there's just the only thing you've got is your ear to tell you. But I can tell you physically, if you pull it far enough to where you can feel the melody string against the back of your finger, that is about how far you need to pull this to make it exactly a half step above. What we're playing is a B flat, also an A sharp. They're inharmonic spelling of the same thing.
Same way you push it back.
You could push it back, but what I often find when you push is that if your finger is even a slight bit sweaty, you'll push it and it'll slide out from under your finger. Whereas if you hook it, you've got a bit more control. So pull it towards you. And this is what we're looking for. Okay? Now let's also take a look at what's happening in the measure afterwards. So we're hanging on the 7 from measure 9. Then we go 7, 7, the bend. Then you want to let go of the string as quietly as you can, hit 8, then go down to 6.5, 7, and then we're going to push rhythm on 7 on the bass string. Then we're going to hold it for 2 beats. And then we're going to walk down the bass string. So we up 1, 2. And we wrap it up from there. So let's go ahead and play the harmony part together, just the harmony part. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two. All right, good. Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got it right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have you 3 playing the lead, the melody part. Melody here. And then we're going to play the harmony. And then it will switch so everybody has a chance to see what both's going on. So melody players over here and harmony players over here. I'll be playing the harmony. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
That's with two parts. Two individual parts, no chords or anything. Together we are forming just a relationship of melody and harmony, and that's it. And I think it's wonderful that you get the basic essence of this tune with just two parts. That's wonderful. Really, really cool. Let's do that again. Same parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, everybody switch now. If you were playing melody, you are now playing harmony. And if you were playing harmony, you are now playing melody. These dudes like brought friends, man. They're like, you should check out the music this guy is teaching. They're nowhere else except for on my music. That's so funny. They must have mixed vegetable oil with the printer ink or something. I don't know. Okay, different parts now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, nice. For those of you, I heard you go after the bend here. 1, 2. So make sure that you're holding on to that 7 push, you're holding on for that 2 beats. And then you're going to hit the 7 again and then begin walking down. 6, 5, 3. 1, 2. Okay, let's go ahead and do that again. Same parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's take a look at the chords and rhythm. For reasons that may not be terribly obvious, we're not just going to sit there and play this because that is boring. That is a boring part. But anybody who has been in band in middle school, high school, college, knows that there are these different parts, and this is what happens. You've got a lot of monophonic instruments, instruments that can play one note at a time. There are, for the most part, no no polyphonic instruments in an orchestra. They can all play one thing at a time. And that's why we layer them together with other notes and other parts. And so something like this might be numbered as, say, your trumpet. Trumpet 1, first trumpet, second trumpet, third trumpet, and sometimes fourth trumpet, and so forth. The first parts are always melody, usually, not always, but they're usually melody. They're the awesome parts, which is why you have to audition to be first chair, first clarinet, or whatever. You have to audition for those because the best players are carrying that. The second parts are typically harmony, and they typically move in the same way, but they aren't playing the melody. So it's always fun to play a first chair or first part because at home you feel like you're playing a tune. When you're playing the harmony part, you're like, Your friends are like, what is that? It's the harmony to this song. Oh, okay, that's not very interesting. Yeah, but at least it's moving around because I could be a third part. And the third part is support. And normally that means a lot of half notes, and there is no discernible sort of melody whatsoever. It's a lot of blah, blah. And I started off as a third clarinet. There is not much more boring than being a third clarinet. There's just nothing exciting about it whatsoever. And that's what that chords and rhythm part looks like to me. That looks like a third clarinet part. It is boring, but it serves a purpose. It does serve a purpose. Everybody in the orchestra serves their own very, very special purpose. But I'm not going to put you all through that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go ahead and divide up everybody into these 3 different parts. So since we've got 6, and I can join in with whoever I want to, we're going to do it from that respect, going from this side to that side. So you guys, 2 here, you're melody right now. You 2 are harmony. And then you 2 have got chords and rhythm. You'll notice in the first measure of chords and rhythm that there's nothing happening on the melody string. You just want to strum from the middle out to the bass. Reason for that is we've got a melody note that is happening in the melody part, and we have a harmony part that's already playing a 0. And we're trying to avoid doubling parts because when you double parts, that makes them louder, and we don't want to steal any thunder from the melody. So we're just not going to strum that note in order to keep things nice and balanced. You'll also notice a lot of the work is happening on the middle string. So some of those 0s you see are A's, and they are simply being played on the middle string. You have a few chords, full chords, but again in measure 5, we're only playing on the bass and the middle string. Notice 5, 6, 7, 8, measure 8, we're playing on that middle string, and then we're playing on the bass string. So you see a lot of avoidance of the melody string happening in the chords and rhythm part. Then things get kind of exciting in the last line, since we've got a nice half note walk down from 7 to 6, 5 to 3, and then you get 4 quarter notes. Woohoo! Some activity for the chords and rhythm section. 4, 4, 4, 0, and then a 0 on the middle string, and then 1 final chord.
What's that symbol? The second symbol on the 6th or 13?
Oh, that's a natural before that note there. That's a C natural. We're in the key of D major, but at that point we need to have a C natural for the deal. So a natural lets the player know that what normally would be a C sharp, we have changed, we've altered it, and we are making it a C natural instead. That's what that is. In fact, if you look at 9, 10, 11, measure 11 and measure 12 on the harmony part, even though we have got our F sharp and C sharp there, we have got the A sharp that has popped up and a G sharp that pops in. Neither of those notes are part of the D major scale, but they are accidentals for this piece. And classical music uses a lot of things like that to get extra notes to make things interesting, whether it be accidentals, notes that don't belong in the scale, or whether it be actually changing the key for like 4 measures and then going back to the original key, just to get some different textures involved there. So there are all kinds of tricks that you can use. You don't have to work with just the 7 notes of the major scale. You don't have to work with just those naturally occurring chords. You can alter them to make more interesting music, and that's where things get fun, and that's also where things can get complicated. But with a good knowledge of theory, you can make that work to your advantage. Okay, so we have our parts. We've got melody here, 2. We've got harmony here, 2. We've got chords and rhythm here. And I will be joining the chords and rhythm section since we didn't actually go over it, providing some direction. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. do that again. Also, I don't know why I didn't see this before, and I might have told my group at KMW to do this. Chords and rhythm section. Actually, everybody, go ahead and grab your chords and rhythm page. And if you got something to write with there, measure 13 and measure 14. Measure 13, 14 at the bottom of the page. We have 7, 6, 5, 3. Write those on the bass string. We need a lower tone there for support. So put those on the bass string. 7, 6, 5, 3. And then once you've got your 7, 6, 5, and 3 on the bass string on the top line, then go ahead and cross out the ones on the melody string. We have more than enough happening in the treble section, or as you want to say, soprano section. And we need more support in the tenor and bass department. And so that's what we're doing, is we are rearranging that to take that line away from the sopranos and give it to the bass. So we've got more support, and we can build on top of that. Once you make that correction, go ahead and tuck it away unless you're actually one of the chords and rhythm folks. And let's go ahead and play through that again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's switch, and what we're going to do now is we are going to take the melody. You guys have got the melody, you have got harmony, and now you have chords and rhythm. And I am going to jump in on harmony. It sounds like some of you are having a little bit of an issue with measure 12, 13, 14, that transfer with the bass string. So I'm gonna hang out there and provide some context. So we have our new assignments. Let's go ahead and jump into it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do it again, and this time, at the very, very end, we're going to go ahead and loop it around again, so we play it twice in a row. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Around again. along again. Whatever part you have not played yet, now you will play it. So grab the part you have not played yet. And I am going to stick with the harmony part for now. Actually, no, I'm going to go to chords and rhythm. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go over. Let's play that. You guys are having a hard time with measure 12 and 13.
Right into the last line. Yeah. It's screwing me up.
Let's go. Everybody pick up your harmony part. Remember where you just were. We'll go back to it. But everybody pick up that harmony part. I was throwing the K&W folks for a loop too. Let's go really super slow. And we're going to start with measure 9, and we'll carry it down all the way to the end of the piece. So the last 2 lines, we're going to go ahead and play those. Really slow. Here we are. Actually, let me real quick, let me go ahead and play it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it again. I think what's throwing people is that holding the 7 for 2, for holding the 2 beats. So from measure 9 to 11, from measure 11, I think what's also doing it is what fingers you might be choosing for measure number 12. So let's look at that for a second. I'm using my index finger on the 7. So when I bend it, I am then going to move to 8. So my index finger is on 8. So when I hit that, look at where my ring finger is. It just happens to be hovering right above the 6.5 fret. So I'm going to drop my ring finger down to the 6.5 fret. And our next note is 7. So look at what that finger is. My middle finger is hanging right above the 7. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And then we have another 7 on the bass string. So my index finger is available to come over and grab that. So coming again from measure number 11. I'll do it in slow motion here. That's probably what's tripping you up, is trying to figure out what fingers to use in order to get there. I'll do that again. And then you just stay there. From there. And remember, you're going to hold on to that 7 for 2 beats. So you hit the 7 once, wait 2 beats. You hit the 7 again on beat 2 of measure 13, and then it's 6, 6, 5, 5, 3, 3, 2, 2. So again, coming from measure number 11. Now hang on a second, if we're playing different parts, it won't sound good. Listen to me from measure 9, 10, 11. Measure 11. Let's all play from measure 9, 10, 11. Measure 11. Everybody play the harmony part. Measure 11 to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. good. We're going to repeat this in an infinite loop from measure 11 to the end. So next time we end, we're going to go right back to measure 11 where the bends are in that measure. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. One more time. All right, good. We ironed that out quite a bit. All right, let's go back to the parts you were just playing. Not the ones we're just now, but go back to the ones that we were at, the ones you have not played before. And all right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go around again. Nice, very nice.